If you're watching this, I want to congratulate you for taking an interest in the CFA Level 1 exam. Last week I did a video where I covered my top 10 tips on how to pass. And next week I will be doing a video about CFA motivation, so make sure that you subscribe for that. But today I will be talking about the following 3 topics which are key in order for you to succeed in this program. So let's get to it. Now, the first topic is hours. As you saw in last week's video, I'm actually a fan of tracking your hours, something that is very well known for the CFAs, but not everyone likes doing. I did it for 2 reasons. 1, it gives me a quantitative measure of how much time I'm putting in. And 2, it is well known that usually you have to study around 300 hours to pass the exam. So if you grab the 300 hours and you divide it by the amount of weeks that you have left until exam day, it kind of tells you how much effort you should be putting in. The goal for a good week should be between 16 to 20 hours. That for me was broken down to 2 hours every single weekday. So 2 Monday, 2 Tuesday, blah, blah, blah. And then on the weekends, 3 to 5 hours Saturday, and then 3 to 5 hours on Sunday. The reality is that as you get closer to the exam, you're gonna study more and more. So you're gonna have a lot of weekends that you only do like 2 hours, and then you're gonna have a lot of weekends towards the end that you're gonna be doing much more. I also found that when you're working full time, doing more than 2 hours during a work day is very, very hard. And any given day, mostly the weekends, trying to do more than 5 hours, it's really not feasible because you just become way too tired. So I like keeping track of my hours, my scores and everything, like you'll see. But for example, if you see my hours here, it might be a little bit hard to see, but you'll see that the last few months, it's really when the studying picks up. December was a little low because I had a vacation that I knew I was gonna take off. And you see that a very good week is one that I study 16 hours or more. I ended up studying 334 hours, which is my goal because I wanted to study more than 300 hours to feel like I was a little more prepared. Study steps. When I did my SIE Series 7 and Series 66 videos, which you guys might have seen, you know that I like covering what are the detailed steps that I did when I was studying for the exam. So let's do that. The first step is reading. I use Kaplan Schweitzer, and I would just read those books. Kaplan is X long, and I'd say that CFA, it's probably 2X long. It is proving that highlighting and annotating is not as useful, but I like doing it, so I will actually highlight and annotate a little bit. And then, end of the section questions, which are those like 3 to 6 questions that you find in every single section. Do those as you're going through them. Don't look at the answers, you just go through them and then check them and see where you made the mistake. And then when I was done with the reading, if I had any topics that I needed more clarification on, I would go to the classic like Investopedia, Mark Meldrum on YouTube, Google, and also go into the actual CFA books because those can be very lengthy, but sometimes provide more detail on topics that you're struggling on. I never got the physical ones, but I'll have the PDFs, so I'll just do like Control F and get information there. And then the thing that I did that was a little different, my next step was that I created something called the CFA Bible. And it's just this notebook that I have right here where I would just try to add mostly formulas, but also list of like bullet points about specific points and also very key concepts that I knew I needed more detail on. It serves as a good way of writing it down and having something to go back to and see what are the areas that I need to focus on. So for example, if we do reading from 1 to 60, let's do reading 34. So reading 34 is one of the readings about equities, and it's a reading that deals about the weighting methods for the different portfolios and how to track the performance of different portfolios based on different formulas and different weighting methods. As you can see here, I have all the formulas. The ones in blues are the formulas that I knew I needed to memorize, and then as I got closer to exam day, if there's formulas I was struggling on, I would just highlight them with the little squares in orange. Very much recommended, very important, and it worked for me. Now, once I did that, I will go to the Kaplan environment and I will do the end of the chapter questions, which is like a little quiz prepared by Kaplan regarding that reading. And like I said in last week's video, I will set a 70% minimum. So if I didn't get a 70%, I will keep doing the quiz fully again until I got a 70. 3 other points very quickly. The end of the chapter questions of the CFA environment, I didn't do when I was studying. I saved it for the last month of review. They're very important. And like I said last week, I like to do both Kaplan and also CFA environments. But the CFA questions of the end of the chapter, which are really good, I just saved for the last month and I made sure that I did them all and also reviewed them. I recommend that you also read Ethics from the CFA book. It is like a 200-page document that might take you around 9 hours, but I read it and it took me so long because for that one, I actually took detailed notes. What I did is I will write down the rule and the entire explanation, and then I will write down bullet points of things that weren't common sense for me, or I felt like I needed more detail on, or I needed to remember. I also have it here in the CFA Bible. Oops. Here you go. So if you choose rule 3B, for example. By the way, you'll never have to remember which number is what rule. They will always give you the number, the rule title. You just have to remember the concepts. So 3B is fair dealing. It's all the things usually when like IPOs, when they're oversubscribed, and how you should try to be fair with all your clients and shareholders and things like that. So for example, here, I knew that it was prohibited from members from holding shares in oversubscribed IPOs. So that's something that I knew I needed to remember, wrote it down, highlighted it, helped me. So something that I recommend with ethics. And lastly, regarding study methods, something that a CFA told me when I was looking for all the research is CFA studying is an art, not a science. All the concepts that I'm explaining here and all my tips, I think will help you, but they might be a little different for you because everyone has their own study methods. So perhaps apply what I'm telling you, but also reallocate and see what are the things that work for you and which ones don't. And then lastly is the last month. So like I said in last week's video, I think that 4 to 5 weeks, ideally closer to the 5 week mark, you should spend reviewing. During those weeks, you should do 5 to 6 mocks. I did 6 because the Kaplan provides 4 and CFA provides 2. Remember that reviewing a mock might take you as long as the actual mock took you, because I would just go over every single question and see what I did wrong and write down the correct answer. And I did something called the rule of 5. So if I did a mock and in portfolio management, I got 5 questions wrong, I will go back to the CFA environment or the Kaplan environment, and I will do 5 questions wrong, so I will do 25. So I'll do whatever number of questions I got wrong, multiply times 5, and I will do that amount of questions and do those questions until I got a 70%. It was a great way of practice, and it was one of the best ways of reviewing the material. I really liked it and really recommend it. The last part, and perhaps my favorite point, is you have to become a formula master, because like I said in last week's video, there's some questions that are simple formula questions that you can get wrong. So what I did is, after all the practice and the material, the learning outcome statements and everything, I created a list of what were the formulas that I needed to memorize to be able to use to calculate. And I created 2 things. One, I created that list, which just has the names, and I put it in individual index cards that just had the names by topic. So for example, economics had one index card, financial statement analysis had another one, etc., etc. I don't have them with me. I gave it to a friend after I passed the exam, but I'll ask him to send me a picture. So that was one side. And then in the other side, in another separate place, I had the name of the formula, and then also the formula itself on a separate place with the correct answer. So what I will do every night is that every night I will be like, okay, I didn't perform well today on portfolio management, so I'm gonna do a formula check of portfolio management, economics, and corporate issuers. And I will grab those 3 index cards and I will look at the name, just the name, and I'll grab a piece of paper and write down the formula. And then at the end, I will go to my answer key and just compare and see where I made the mistake. If I made a mistake, I will just highlight that formula and then go back and do that formula from like 10 to 15 times. I literally had pages of pages of pages of me just writing formulas. And that's something that was huge, huge, huge. So my gift to you as a thank you for watching this video is that I'm gonna give you my list of the formulas that I used over the next, I think it's like 12 topics. So 12 seconds, I'm just gonna have a picture of the names and then the formulas. Feel free to stop the video and take a screenshot. So here it goes. Alright, so hopefully you were able to stop the video and take some screenshots and it helps you, but becoming a formula master is one of the most important things that you should do. And that wraps it up for today's video. If you have any questions or videos that you want to see in this channel, make sure that you leave it in the comments and I'll definitely check them out. And that you subscribe so you can see all my other CFA videos. It's not easy, but keep practicing, keep putting in effort, and I'm confident that you will pass. See you next time.